82% of women are in prison for non-violent crimes. The justice system is rigged against them. Case in point, what are you in here for?
7 counts of battery and assault.
That's a bad example. What about you?
Armed robbery.
Nope.
I had a dispute with an Uber driver. He took the long way round, so I stabbed him in the neck, left him for dead.
Just cut this stuff out.
Oh, I'm already in. I'm already in!
Welcome to Cordkillers, the show about watching the stuff you love when you want, where you want, however you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Brian Brushwood, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm reading the summary of what this is, and it sounds a suspiciously lot like the end of Paddington 2.
I got that too.
That was a trailer for Netflix's upcoming comedy series Hard Sell, starring Catherine Tate, who plays multiple characters, about a women's prison that is practicing to hold a musical in 6 weeks. It seems very goofy. It does not. It seems like if you watched that and thought, oh man, remember when Orange is the Black was all dramatic and heavy? This doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, imagine if Orange is the New Black didn't take itself seriously at all. It sounds like maybe that's what you're going to get with Hard Sell.
Fingers crossed.
I can expect some number of people will watch this and immediately go like, oh, faux documentary. I'm kind of over that by now. I'm not. My appetite remains unsated.
Yeah.
Some people may go, oh, Catherine Tate, give me anything she makes.
Some people will be that way.
That's April 12th, coming to Netflix April 12th.
All right, let's get to our primary target. It was an unprecedented night at the Academy Awards Sunday, as I'm sure you heard.
Yep.
That's right. Coda won Best Picture.
Oh.
A first because a film released at Sundance had never won Best Picture before.
Oh, wait.
Okay. And it's the first Best Picture with a predominantly deaf cast. That is the bigger deal. Also, I mean, I guess Apple Original Films distributed it. So that's the first time one of the big tech companies took home the top prize.
Hey!
Yeah. The film also got Best Adapted Screenplay. Sean Hayter, the director, who also adapted the screenplay from a French film, got that award. Best Supporting Actor went to Troy Kotsur. He became the second deaf actor to win an Oscar. The first was his Coda co-star, Marlee Maitland, who won in 1986 for the movie Children of a Lesser God. These are all three of these are Apple's first Oscars. Apple has never won an Oscar before. If you're wondering about Netflix, this is the fourth straight year they had a movie in contention and didn't win. 2018 was Roma, 2019 The Irishman, 2020 Mank, and this year The Power of the Dog, which some people favored. Netflix did win one Oscar for Power of the Dog. It went to the director, Jane Campion. Apple also got 3 nominations for The Tragedy of Macbeth, none of which won. So Apple has only ever been nominated twice before. Both of those were last year. It has only been nominated a total of 8 times, and it's now won 3 Oscars out of 8. Way better percentage than Netflix. Netflix had the most nominations of any studio with 27, but in the end, it only took home 2. Streaming services took home 4 Oscars at this year's Academy Awards. Last year, that number was 9. Although you could make the argument that Dune and King Richard are streaming movies because they did have simultaneous release on HBO Max, but they were still distributed by Warner Brothers, not by Warner Media. So it's split in ends. But yeah, this is the big win. Everybody was waiting. We had the day there was the first nomination by Netflix, and then there was the day of the first win by Netflix. Then there was how many nominations can you get, and then how many wins, and Netflix getting the most nominations. This is the big one. When would a streaming service win Best Picture? And it was this year, and it wasn't Netflix, it was Apple.
I guess let's start with as far as I understand, it's not like Apple said we want to tell this story, make this story, we made this story, we won this award. They just bought it off the shelf, and good for them. I don't want to take anything away from a streaming service and over-the-top network.
Yes, but also Netflix does the same thing. Amazon does the same thing. In fact, all the studios, Sony, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, they all do the same thing. it was actually unprecedented. You know, I joked about it being the first Sundance movie to win Best Picture, but it's not a guarantee to win Best Picture to go buy an indie film at Sundance, because it's never happened before.
Right.
Apple spent a crazy amount of money on it, $25 million. It only made $1.2 million or something at the box office. So this all came from the fact that everyone thought the movie was good. At Oscar parties for Power of the Dog, according to Variety, people were talking about Coda. And like, yeah, but have you seen Coda? So it wasn't even just Apple throwing money at the problem, which they absolutely did. There was also just buzz happening.
Well, and in that case, again, starting with Apple, and then we'll talk about Netflix, but very astute play on Apple's behalf. They did it. They spent outrageous money because they recognized quality. Stop me if you've heard this before. The people at Apple seem to have an eye for artistic quality of things. And they,
I've heard that before.
Okay, they made a very good pick. Meanwhile, I'm more flummoxed by Netflix's bridesmaid syndrome, and I'm wondering if is this a case where they're just the New York Yankees, where it's like they're so big that, because again, Hollywood votes for Hollywood, and they're generally happy for Netflix, but not so happy that they want the Yankees to win the World Series. Yet again, but in this case, never. Like I feel like there's
Yankees fans right now are like, yeah, but we've got like 27 rings.
But you catch my meaning,
but
right?
I totally get what you mean.
Yeah.
I think maybe there is a little bit of a negative to Netflix effect on voting. It might not even be conscious for most Academy voters, but they just sort of watch it. There was also the missteps by Jane Campion in accepting another award. I'm not sure that had an effect on the voting or not, because I'm not sure when all the voting was done. But maybe
could
that
you
was
remind me of that?
one. She made in accepting a Critics' Choice Award, I think. I may be wrong about the award, but one of the other awards, she made a joke about how she has to compete with men in her category, unlike Venus and Serena Williams, which didn't go down well.
Got it.
So that may have turned some people against voting for her, if they were still voting, though. But I'm unclear on that.
But that's only possible if the Oscars is in any way political.
But she also won Best Director, so it didn't affect her too bad, because she still got an Oscar. So yeah.
Speaking of which, Power of the Dog, Tom, I've tried 3 times to start that movie, and I've never made it more than 30 minutes.
That was an actual joke, and I can't remember if it was Regina Hall or Wanda Sykes who said it, but they said like, I love Power of the Dog. I've watched it 3 times. I'm almost done.
I didn't know I was pinching material. I was describing a lived experience.
Right there, like mine. Yeah. I have heard you should approach it as a mini series. I have not seen it. I have seen Coda though, and I will tell you, man, I was expecting a good movie. It was a great movie. It had me in tears. It had me smiling. It was uplifting. It was heartwarming. It was, it was real. And it was different and all the other things that people rightly say about it, but just a really good movie. And, one of the best performances, Amelia didn't even get a nomination. She's the lady from Lock and Key, who plays the hearing daughter. And there's just top performances from beginning to end. So good.
And this is, what's interesting is this is the power, instead of the Power of the Dog, it's the power of the Oscars. Coda, we definitely talked about, and I felt like a memory genius that I vaguely remember. It's about 2 deaf parents and their hearing child.
Coda stands
and
for,
now all of a sudden it's
child.
jumping to the front of my attention because of the Oscars.
Yeah, that's why everybody wants to win an Oscar, right? Because you get more people interested in your movie. CODA stands for Child of Deaf Adults, and Amelia plays a hearing daughter of 2 deaf parents with a deaf brother, who are fisher people. They go out in Gloucester, Massachusetts, and catch fish. So there's a whole subplot about not being able to make enough money off fish, and the crackdowns and the payments and the government surveillance that costs them money. There's a whole thing about her wanting to become a singer, and the parents thinking, well, she's just rebelling because we're deaf. That's the only reason she wants to be a singer, but she's actually really good. But if she continues to pursue her dream to go to the Berklee School of Music, then she would be letting the family down, who's trying to fight to start their own fish distribution empire to get past the man who takes all the money. And it's just wonderful. It's a wonderful, like, small town working class people trying to get by, and the family is entirely deaf except for the one daughter.
So what do you make of the drop in the number of Oscars won? Has the shine worn off of streaming services? Is it not so novel now, or it just, this is natural variation?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. There could just be natural variation, which is usually what it is. But if it's not that,
but you would think of all years, like
one of the factors that could cause natural variation would be they were able to do the Moneyball thing, right? Netflix reminds me of the Oakland A's here, right? Really good at picking up nominations, really good at winning regular season games, can't win the World Series, can't win the Best Picture. And there may be a situation where the other studios have now caught up. And they're like, oh, well, we can play this game too. We can use data and analytics to find the Oscar-winning movies. And so Netflix, while they got 27 nominations, wasn't able to get as many wins because of that, because there are other people in the game now.
So this is me asking a question that's not in the script, so it's okay if none of us know. Previously, we've talked about like live events and how they do in number of viewership. Did you notice anything in terms of number of people watching? Are the numbers down? Or
I haven't seen the Oscar ratings. I imagine
it might be that there's another story that has overshadowed that particular topic. Do we want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was joking at the beginning of this story when I said it was an unprecedented night, and you thought I was going to talk about Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. It was not planned. I think we're all pretty clear on that. If you think otherwise, that's fine, but I'm pretty clear that it was not planned. And yet it certainly has engendered way more interest in last night's ceremonies than would have been there otherwise, I think.
I'm less interested in, I also think it was totally real. There was this weird moment, and I think it's just fatigue over the last 3-4 years, where it's like, I was just sad. I saw Twitter do its Twitter dance, and everybody rushed to either take the most sanctimonious position or, give the best hot take or make the best joke. And I almost participated and then deleted the tweet. Like, I wanted to compare it to something the Streamies in 2010. But then I was like, I don't want to be a part of any of this. And I very rarely delete a tweet, but I did last night.
Bryce found a Collider article that it indicates a 51% ratings increase, but still not back to pre-pandemic numbers. So more people watching. I feel like that I don't have enough experience with this sort of thing to make a comment. So I'm doing a lot of listening rather than a lot of talking about it, because there are a lot of different perspectives and it's a complex situation. And it doesn't seem to me like picking sides is the right way to approach it, but rather to continue to add, if you want to understand it, continue to add perspectives and nuance to understand a complex situation. This is not one where I think there's a right side or a wrong side or anything like that. And I'm more in the listening mode than in the judging mode.
I'm more in the ranking it mode. Like, was this bigger than when Marlon Brando refused to accept his own reward? Like, is this maybe the number one moment in the 100-year history of the Oscars?
Good question. Also a really good question, because it's a spontaneous moment. Right? Marlon Brando's was unexpected, but planned.
Performative, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I almost a better comparison would be, you like me, you really like me, because that wasn't planned. That was just in the moment, although of a very different tone.
It's the exact inverse. It's the matter antimatter.
Yeah. But as far as like unexpected but memorable, this is definitely going down into the historic moments in television history, not just Oscar history.
It does confirm one theory for me. All actors are sociopaths. Anyone who can engage in physical combat and outrage and then compose themselves to give what was clearly a beat for beat perfect emotional acceptance speech, sociopath. They're all sociopaths. But that's their literal job, is to hit their mark, say their lines on cue, become someone who is not what they're feeling in that moment, and do it when the director says action.
Although if you haven't seen his acceptance speech, that implies that he just like hit his mark and said lines, which is not what happened. I think he spoke somewhat extemporaneously, and certainly different lines than he would have said before the night's events occurred.
Yeah. Sociopaths.
All right. Well, we'll talk a little more about this on After Talk. If you're a patron, I'll talk a little bit about watching it live and how I felt in the moment and all that, if you're interested. And to become a patron, you just head on over to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Yeah, dude, if you want to hear Tom's secret innermost thoughts about whether or not he believes all actors in Hollywood are sociopaths, there's only one way to find out, and that's to listen to the After Talk segment exclusively available to our fabulous... are we in the 4-digit club? Yeah, no. Oh, God. Oh, God, it's back.
It's gotten worse.
Oh, no, I have 3-digit disease again.
I got a fever of 995.
Patreon.com/Cordkillers. Keep us live and very independent of Hollywood by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Yeah, there's no other support of the show but you. Let's talk about how to watch. If you live in the Google ecosystem and you want to buy a movie or TV show from the Googles, we'll just say a show to mean a movie or TV show in this. Back in 2019, the answer would have been go to Google Play Movies and the TV section, or Google Play Movies and TV app on your smart TV device. So in the Google Play app, you could go to the Google Play Movies and TV section. Google Play Movies and TV app on your smart TV device, you could buy them there. If you wanted to watch the shows that you bought, you could use those apps to access them, or YouTube, which also accessed shows you purchased from Google and still does. Then these things happened. October 2020, Google changed its Android Google Play Movies and TV app to be called Google TV.
Simpler, Tom.
Yeah. Definitely simpler. So there was still Google Play Movies and TV in the Google Play Store, but the app was called Google TV. June 15th, 2021, Google ended the Google Play Movies and TV app for smart TV platforms.
You don't need it. It's just confusing choices.
No, I guess. Although I guess so, you go to YouTube to watch your own shows, and then Tuesday of last week, Google announced that coming in May this year, the Google Play Movies and TV section of the Google Play app will go away.
Simplest of all.
Yeah. Here's how simple it is.
What?
So now, in May, if you want to buy a movie or TV show from Google, you can go to the YouTube app or website.
Yep.
On Android TV, and the operating system called Google TV, you can use the app called Google TV.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to play those after you've bought them, you can find them on YouTube and YouTube TV, two different apps, as well as the Google TV app, which is available on Android TV, and the operating system called Google TV, or the Play Movies app, which also works for TV shows, which is what it's called on iOS and Apple TV.
Brian, I think Tom's broken. He's repeating himself.
Once again, just to be clear, to play the... No,
say it again. Say it again.
If you want to buy a movie or TV show from Google, go to the YouTube app or website. On Android TV, and Google TV, the operating system. You can also use the Google TV app to play them back. You can find them on YouTube and YouTube TV, as well as the Google TV app on Android TV, and Google TV, the operating system. And the Play Movies app, which also works for TV shows on iOS and Apple TV.
I heard iOS.
Yeah, that was where you still find the Google Play Movies app.
Okay, so
why are they doing this?
If I may play devil's advocate, because I feel really torn about this, because in PC land, desktop land, or whatever, I'm PC till I die. But in mobile phone, I dip a toe into the Apple ecosystem, and I understand the simplicity and the clarity of having a branding thing that makes sense. However, all of these moves feel like me, and tell me if this resonates with you, Tom, at all, is Google has no clear vision. And when you lack clear vision, the best you can do is a lot of itty bitty A/B testing. And sometimes that means you kind of quietly announce a thing and then quietly take it back. Sometimes it means you loudly announce a thing like Google Plus and then take it back. That's one thing that you can cite as a flaw of Google, full stop, is that they are not afraid to launch things and they are not afraid to shut them down. Or you can see it as a benefit. Now, certainly, I stopped listening halfway through the description of how to watch a movie.
Okay, so if you want to buy a movie,
No. We got it. We got it. The answer is, if you want to watch a movie, go to iOS.
I think this is one of those examples where it is harder to explain than it is to do, because a lot of these things are just in places where you already are, right? So the YouTube TV playback thing, right? That's not a thing that's really meant to be like, here's your option. It's more of a like, oh, I'm in YouTube TV. I wonder if I can watch that movie. Oh, there it is. Great.
Right. And if for my parents, it's click the thing. And they don't need to know what the thing is called. They need to see once what to click on. And then they go to the thing. And then they get a new TV 7 years from now. And there's a brief, very confusing moment. But then someone explains, no, this is the new thing. And that's
the new thing is this one.
Exactly. So I understand the reasons. I also find it hilarious that the consequences are so ridiculous. The well-written bit notwithstanding, Tom, do you think this is a smart strategy on behalf of Google or no?
I really do see where they're going, which is to say we want to make it easy to buy and watch movies where you are, which is why they're expanding into all these little places. I see where they have sort of mostly decided Google TV is the term they want to use, but they're kind of stuck. I have a feeling they will change the iOS and Apple TV apps to be called Google TV at some point. I imagine that will happen. They just haven't done it yet for whatever reason. Companies take a long time to do things sometimes because they have teams and projects and checklists. So let's assume that they eventually call everything Google TV, the app, the operating system, that. Then it's just a matter of saying like, okay, what is the difference between Android TV and the Google TV interface? That's where it starts to get harder to understand. Is Android TV something that you really just want to be for manufacturers, in which case maybe you just need to take time to phase it out and not acknowledge it, and it's Google TV, but you'll always have Android on the operating system, but that's okay because you have iOS too, so it's the equivalent there. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of processes in play, and I think that's how Google gets in trouble. Is they start a process that's like, it'll just take 4 years, but then when we're done, everything will be simpler. And then 2 years in, somebody else takes over the team and goes, you know what? We're just going to tweak this a little bit. It'll just take 4 more years from now, and that's how the stuff
Also,
happens.
I don't want to accuse Bryce of trolling me, but he definitely flashed on the screen the headline, Google merges Chromecast and Android TV with the Chromecast with Google TV. And I'm like, oh, that's right. They had that other word that they were also pushing as well.
Yeah.
That's definitely one where Chromecast is the device and Google TV is the operating system. And if they do settle on calling everything Google TV, that'll make sense to me.
I mean, and now
Google Chrome TV.
If
Chromecast is the thing, that's like saying, it's a Fire TV box.
Yeah.
And if Google had a time machine, and the closest they get is their incessant need to A/B test everything, right? They're big fans of that. You essentially, by doing test groups, focus groups, get to pick the winner and then collapse everything, and that becomes the thing. I think if they had a time machine, they would go back and just have it be a very simple, every device, every platform, every app, every store, just call it GTV or something like that. And I'm certain somebody at Google would privately confess to, yeah, that would have been great, but that's not the timeline we live in. We live in the one
They
where we
also
keep
probably
trying
would say, like, if we had a time machine, I bet marketing would get a hold of it, and there'd be so many monetization topics about it. And we would never be able to use it to go back and rename things.
It constantly gets renamed. It's like Time Machine by Google. Google presents Time Machine.
G-Time.
Google Time. Chrome Time. Chrome Google Time.
Timecast. Oh, and YouTube just added 4,000 episodes of TV shows available to stream for free with ads in the US. That's just on YouTube.
As opposed to where else, Tom? Sorry.
Anything else that I said in the rest of this conversation?
See, there's a device called the Google TV.
No.
You can use your Chromecast with Google TV to watch YouTube and then cast it to your Android TV. Face.
Look, they're trying real hard. And again.
No, they're not.
No.
I would argue.
Well, no. There are two different philosophies. There's beginning with the ending in mind, and that's what Apple aspires to do, although with the notable exception of their Apple TV. Apple TV was just as bonkers insane in all the iterations and all the things they call Apple TV and Apple TV Plus and what's the service, what's the device, what's the so on.
But it's also not the moving target of the one name that everything is changing every couple of years.
Yeah.
Look, you know what I didn't point out in this entire conversation?
There's another word, isn't there?
The original Google streaming device was called Google TV.
That's right. And
like back in 2010.
So
If they had a time machine, they'd go back and be like, oh, it's already called Google TV.
It's like they finally get a time machine and they just go back and they just put a bullet in their own head.
Every couple of years, someone just comes in and says, it's simple. We just name it after one of our other more popular products.
If you want to watch Hell's Kitchen or Hidden Palms or 21 Jump Street, you can watch them on YouTube with ads for free. So check it out. Let's talk about what to watch in Under Surveillance.
Like real estate, it's all about location. Under Surveillance.
The director of the movie Red Notice, Rawson Marshall Thurber, is apparently on board to direct a Voltron movie. According to Hollywood Reporter, they say it's out there being pitched to studios right now. You might think, well, obviously Netflix is going to get it, right? They've got Rawson Marshall Thurber's Red Notice. They have the Voltron TV series, but Hollywood Reporter says Netflix is not in the running for this.
Also worth noting, I was like, wait a minute, is that live action or cartoon? But we're talking about a live action one. Apparently.
He does live action, so I'm guessing live action.
Yeah. It could be good. Look, man, we live in an age, a post expectation age where anything I expect to be bad could be good, and anything I expect to be good could be bad.
Right?
And
yeah.
so who knows?
Al Michaels, that's who knows. Well, he knows football. Al Michaels is pretty much synonymous with U.S. sports, especially NFL, and he's moving to Amazon. He and ESPN's Kirk Herbstreit will announce Amazon's exclusive Thursday Night Football games this season. That starts on September 15th. You may say, well, Amazon's been doing Thursday Night Football for a while, but they simulcast with either Fox or CBS, whoever was doing it that week in the past. This season, Prime Video will be the only place to watch Thursday Night Football, and they're grabbing the old Monday Night Football voice. He's been doing Sunday Night Football since he moved over to NBC, and now he's going to Amazon.
This seems very powerful in a way that, yes, each individual will have to think about whether or not they want to get the quote unquote real, Thursday Night Football experience that they're accustomed to. But like, this is the kind of, as far as I know, all the local sports bars do have Atmosphere TV. I don't think any of them have Amazon, but I think they're about to get Amazon. In order to bring
whatever
this
they've
experience.
been using to stream, they will now be installing Prime Video on.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, because this is the only way to get those games. Certainly, Amazon could have said, "Look, having the game is the attraction. We don't need to splash out on freaking Al Michaels." But Amazon decided that the intangible benefit of having someone go, "I mean, Amazon is doing this game," and then hearing Al Michaels like, "Oh, wow, that's legit."
Right.
Having other negotiations with the NFL and saying, look how serious we are. We went and got Al freaking Michaels to do our Thursday Night Football. Imagine what we'll do if you give us more games. Like, that kind of stuff is going to pay off for them, I think.
100%. It's like your favorite easy chair with, the butt groove just exactly right.
Yeah, that's how people often think of Al Michaels.
Al Michaels, the ultimate butt groove.
Yeah. Well, there's your title. Netflix declined to pick up a third season of the reboot of Mystery Science Theater 3000. So the MST3K folks returned to Kickstarter and bootstrapped another season on their own. That's how they got Netflix in the first place, was a Kickstarter. On May 6th, the new season of MST3K will launch on Gizmoplex, a platform made by the MST3K folks themselves. You can find it on the web, iOS, Android, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, and Fire TV. I assume on Google TV as well. All classic episodes will be available. So you can watch all the seasons going all the way back to the stuff on Comedy Central. Some content will be free. Some will be free for a limited time. Some will be available for purchase on demand. Some as part of a season pass. If you're interested in the prices, individual episodes are going to cost $10. A 3-month pass is $50. And a full season, which runs from May 22nd to February 23rd next year, is $135.
I'm sure they're not sharing their behind the scenes numbers, but I have to imagine that they're making about the same amount of money, if not more, doing it this way. Like
I would wonder. Yeah, it's an interesting question. Was it better to get Netflix money and not have to run this thing themselves, or did they, through force of having to do it themselves, realize, well, crap, at $10 a pop for an episode and $135 for a season, we may end up doing better than we thought.
Yeah, and of course, Netflix is an incredible promotion engine. I've told the story before. When I was on National Geographic, nobody cared. But the day that syndicated season hit Netflix, my kids come up and are like, "Dad, are you on Netflix?" And there was an aura about it.
Yeah. No, it's the only thing close to that I've experienced myself was being on Wikipedia is the most impressive thing to my friends and family back home.
That's amazing. That's awesome.
Being on CNET, they're like, yeah, I guess I've heard of it.
That's a website, right?
Wikipedia. Wow. Fancy.
Abraham Lincoln's on there.
Also, another way to drive interest in this, Joel, the original MST3K, person in orbit, creator of the show, coming back. He'll be on camera. He's been behind the scenes, but he's gonna be up in the Satellite of Love this season.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm hoping they're making even more money this way, but I don't know.
Yeah, I hope so too, because there's some good folks involved in there, including some good friends. All right, let's talk about what we've had our eyes on. Something you've been watching, Brian. What are you watching?
Last night we had a frustrating experience trying to watch Severance. I'll keep it very short. Everybody knows that I hate the browser Apple TV Plus experience, but we hit a new level because we sat down to watch the next episode of Severance, and Bonnie confessed that she had watched an episode without me. So I went and I clicked on the Severance button.
That's a bad. I know.
Okay, you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I spent 10 full minutes trying to figure out how to get to the Severance page to find out which episode she's seen and which ones are coming up ahead and where we are in the series. After 10 minutes of the kids shouting out, hit the 3 buttons. No, the 3 buttons just says, do you want to unsubscribe from this show? Click on the upper left. You mean the X that exits out. And then after 10 minutes, Bonnie couldn't handle it anymore. She was just like, I can't handle it. And like, I'm going to do all the same things you did, but I'll feel better. And so she figured out that there are no hyperlinks and you can't get anywhere and that you can't control your thing. And then finally, the 14-year-old Josie says, I can't handle this. Mom, get out. 14-year-old solved it. Do you know how she solved it? By going to an external search engine and typing Apple TV Plus Severance. It was the only way to get to the actual Severance page. If you know in the Chrome browser of a way to navigate from the front page to the Severance page, share it at cordkillers@gmail.com. But it was astonishing.
I've got Apple support on the line here, Brian. And okay, they're telling me here's what you need to do. Don't use a browser.
I know that's their preferred experience.
They hung up. That's all they said.
To be clear, the alternative is iTunes.
Anyway,
they're calling back. don't use Windows.
Okay,
don't use
okay,
Windows.
got it.
Yeah, okay, that was
But the thing you're describing, Brian, of not being able to find the show is not just a browser thing, because I have that happen in the app for the exact same reason. When I'm trying to, because on Thursday I tried to go watch Severance, and it comes out on Fridays. So I went to the thing. I was like, "Where is it? I can't even see the show. Where I can't even find the page that'll tell me the thing that I'm looking for."
It's very supernaturally bad. It is the least Apple-like anything I've ever encountered.
But here's the thing, it's exactly designed for people doing not what you're doing.
I know, and I understand the why.
The way we watch Severance is it shows up in the here's a list of everything you've been watching. Here's the next episode. So Bonnie broke that by watching an episode without you, right?
Right.
It should recover. I'm not defending that. I'm just saying, wait, that's unexpected behavior. Why aren't you watching things together? And then the second thing is, if I were to try to find it, if I'm like, ooh, I want to watch Severance for the first time, I would click the side button and go, Severance. And it would show up in a search. And which is essentially what you ended up doing, the manual version of that, going to a search engine.
Thank you, DuckDuckGo, for finally taking us there. Eventually, it got me so upset I couldn't watch Severance once we found it, and so instead we watched Harley Quinn.
So how was Harley Quinn?
It was fantastic. You know what's great about the HBO Max browser interface is if you want to see the whole series, you just click on the name of the show, and it takes you to the whole series.
I was gonna say, when I watch HBO Max on my browser, I have to refresh the page every 12 minutes because it will just stop streaming. It will just be like,
I have a problem with the HBO Max app where what I've been watching doesn't show up on the main page. They're trying to get me to start something new.
Eileen probably watched it. You're not missing it.
It's not even that. It's oh, why am I going? And Eileen has said, why are you going into the app? Just go to the Apple TV row where the next episode is listed and click on that. It'll automatically launch it.
So anyway, naughty Apple, good, relatively HBO Max. Harley Quinn, still great. What about you, Tom? What have you been watching?
We watched the first 2 episodes of Atlanta, which is now available on Hulu. Very excited. The last time Atlanta was on, which was years ago, we lived in a different house. And you had to watch it on a DVR or buy it or something like that. So it's nice to have it available on Hulu. I'm not going to spoil anything, but, I'm going to spoil a tiny thing. So if you're very spoiler averse, you might want to close your ears. This is not a spoiler of plot lines or anything. But the first episode is kind of a standalone story. And when I think it was Deadline, I might be forgetting the outlet, but I think it was Deadline asked Hiro Murai, why'd you choose to, start the new season with a standalone story? He said, and I'm paraphrasing, I don't know. The audience had been waiting so long for us to return. We just kind of wanted to troll them a little and not pick up where we left off. So we'll get to that in episode 2, which they did. So yeah. And it's brilliant. It's a brilliant effing show. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome.
All right. Hopefully, Bryce has not been on the lookout for Atlanta. Bryce, what have you been on the lookout for?
No, I've been on the lookout for something that we'll talk about a little later in the evening, which is Our Flag Means Death on HBO Max, an HBO Max original. It stars Reese Darby and a huge crew of comedian cameos that is fantastic. It takes place in 1717, and a dandy Englishman buys a boat and a crew and decides to become a pirate. He just says, I'm going to go be a pirate. And
an Englishman with a New Zealand accent.
Also, yes. And so he is trying to be a pirate, but he's still a little bit of a English aristocrat, and he gets sucked into the quote unquote golden age of piracy, and also Stede Bonnet is a real guy. The gentleman pirate is a real thing. The show is obviously merely based on a true event.
It's a dramatization. Yeah.
It's a comedyization.
It's the names are the same. But we just binged it over the past few weeks for Spoilerin time. So I highly recommend going and watching it. It's on HBO Max. There are 10 half-hour episodes out now. And then check out Spoilerin time, where we're going to talk about season 1.
Spoiler for Spoilerin time. I think we liked it.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs way up.
Got something we should be able to look out for. What should we do?
You should email us. Please email us cordkillers@gmail.com. Thank you.
Well, folks, I'm going to direct you to something that I've done that isn't involved with this show or any of my own shows. Actually, in my Free Tom newsletter, I published a paper I wrote in 1992.
What?
About Ukraine and the Crimea and what should happen between the Soviet Union and Ukraine over, as it was falling apart and creating the Commonwealth of Independent States. Then Justin Robert Young asked me, hey, can you read that into a microphone and send me the recording? So I did. And I sent it to him, and he put it in the politics bonus feed. So if you either signed up to my newsletter, you can read it, or if you want to hear me read it, you have to be a patron of Politics. But it's a paper I got a 92 out of 100 on that talks about the history of Crimea and its relationship to both Russia and Ukraine. And at the time I was writing it, who should own it and why, and who should own the Black Sea Fleet that was stationed there and why, and who should get the nukes in Ukraine and why. So you can go check that out, freetomnewsletter.com or politics.com.
And as I've said before, Tom, there's a sincerity to the way you write these emails that is unmatched, unparalleled. I love them so much. freetomnewsletter.com. Also, thank you to our friends at Doghouse Systems who provide all the hardware that we use. doghousesystems.com/rogue. You got to buy a computer sometime. Sooner or later, we'll get you. Make sure to use promo code ROGUE, get exceptional customer service, and keep us in business.
Let's move on to the front line.
Frontlines!
Roku announced Roku OS 11. The new version is not that much different. There's a few different things in here, though. You can use your own photos on the screensaver. There's some new speech clarity settings. If you have a Roku speaker, there's new sound modes, standard dialogue, movie, music, and night. There's a new what to watch option that'll show up in the home screen menu. It's not even an algorithm as far as I could tell. It's just popular and recently released material. Voice-enabled keyboards are getting new languages, Spanish, German, and Portuguese. And Roku's mobile app is going to show more info on TV shows and movies, including where to stream them for free or through any existing paid accounts. So you could just search and be like, oh, it's there because I pay for it, or it's there, but even if I don't have it, it's free to watch.
Speaking of paid accounts, HBO Max has added a shuffle option to 45 shows. If you're watching on a desktop, you could choose to shuffle episodes from the show's information screen. Among the shows that you can shuffle will be Adventure Time, Chappelle's Show, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Friends, Key and Peele, Rick and Morty, Robot Chicken, and The Office. Hey, Bryce and Tom, what do you think the common thread of all these shows are?
Popularity?
No, the
Comedy?
fact that you almost certainly have already watched all of the episodes of them and don't really care which one you're going to watch next.
That's smart.
Yeah, you're right. Like Chappelle's Show, you don't have to watch in order. That makes sense to shuffle. But yeah, The Office, it's because you already watched it. And you're like, yeah, just show me a fun Office. I've seen them all anyway.
I mean, to be honest, it's been a minute since I've revisited Rick and Morty, and I would very much value not having to think about, what is season 2 different from season 4?
What's my favorite episode in the blah, 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 blah.
Isn't The Office only on Peacock? Is The Office still on HBO Max? I thought that. Oh, that's interesting.
It is.
Well, that is a very good point. And it says The Office on this deadline story. So I don't know if that's a mistake or
could be international.
Maybe pretend we said Friends. Pretend we said Friends.
Yeah, maybe it's international. They have different markets. So yeah. Netflix bought another video game studio, Boss Fight Entertainment. The folks behind Dungeon Boss, if you know it. Netflix previously has acquired Night School and Next Games. Netflix also announced a new round of game releases. Remember, these are free standalone games that you log in with your Netflix account. So if you pay for a Netflix subscription, you can log in. It will include its first-person shooter called Into the Dead 2: Unleashed. The other two new ones are Shatter Remastered and This Is a True Story. Those three bring the total number of Netflix games available to 17.
Is anybody feeling a tickle of interest yet? I don't want. I
You
mean,
personally here among us, yeah. No, I'm not.
I tried one of the games and I actively did not like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was actively meh about the one I tried.
Yeah, I don't discourage them from going for it, but so far it seems like it's not catching.
Listen, this really does remind me of that first time I logged into Netflix streaming, and it showed me all of the movies in my Netflix DVD queue that I could stream. And I said, I don't really want to stream any of those. But I also knew, I was like, but someday there'll be things in there I do want to stream, and that'll be really fun. And so I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't really want to play any of these, but eventually there will be one I want to play, and that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I mean, the next Flappy Bird is out there somewhere. Crunchyroll announced it will no longer offer free ad-supported streaming for newly released episodes. You'll have to upgrade to a paid plan for those, which starts at $7.99 a month. Previously, new episodes were delayed by a week for free users. Some shows will have the first 3 episodes available for free as a sampler 1 week after their premiere.
Sony is starting to pull in the drawbridge, huh?
I need something more anime sounding.
Sony has started to move the haunted flying castle
with the giant eyes and the plucky attitude and the emotions.
I went to the Miyazaki exhibit at the Academy Museum on Sunday. You think I'd have a better reference here?
All right.
Deadwood creator David Milch is putting together a series called King of Late Night about Johnny Carson and starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Don't know where it's going to land, but certainly off to a good start. Hulu released a teaser trailer for season 2 of Only Murders in the Building, showing that Amy Schumer will be joining the cast for season 2. And Netflix Grace and Frankie will premiere its final season on my sister's birthday, April 29th.
This King of Late Night thing, it's got, I heard 2 ingredients, and both of them I like a lot.
Yeah, well, 3. Johnny Carson.
Oh, sorry, the subject matter. Yeah,
3. I like the subject matter too. Yeah, I'm very interested. Listen, I watched the Aaron Sorkin, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz movie. It had problems, but I was fascinated with the depiction of that time, and I have a feeling it'll be the same with this, and hopefully better executed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right, let's get on to the dispatches from the front. We got an email from Steve regarding Andy Beach's email that we read last week about what is and is not legal regarding cloud DVR. Steve speculates that maybe what's legal doesn't even matter. He suggests that, quote, as part of arranging for the rights to include each channel in their service, they could include the right to do DVR however they want to do it. An arrangement with the content provider negates the law in this regard, since this law is intended to tell you what you can and can't do without getting permission from the copyright holder. I don't know if that's true, but it's certainly an interesting thing to consider, which is, you know, if they all got channel agreements, and Steve's point was like, sometimes those channel agreements didn't include DVR, but now they all do. So maybe they put DVR rights in there to be like, can you give us an exemption from the single copy thing? Thanks. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it seems like a business transaction that is very one-sided.
Well, we don't know what YouTube or anybody else would be paying for that privilege.
And you're right. It is 100% one-sided in the way that copyright is one-sided. Like when you release an album, it is totally one-sided unless you say otherwise.
I'm saying that the hypothetical business, it's all hypothetical we're talking about, only favors the streaming companies. Like, hey, give us this extra nice deal, and also we're going to make cloud DVR free. Like, I don't know, something doesn't add up with that, but it's an interesting.
I think a combination of we will pay you more per channel, which definitely has been happening, could be for multiple reasons, right? And we now have the data of how many people use the DVR. It doesn't undermine your ads. Could cause them to be like, all right, fine, yeah. If you give us the extra thing, then we'll throw in the the exemption to the single copy thing.
Ooh, that's actually a really good point, Tom, because talk about a trump card, real numbers trumps fears. And there's a lot of business decisions that make sense when you're afraid of like, well, doesn't that mean everyone can just blah, blah, blah? And then you find out, nobody does that. We have the numbers to back it up.
And the other part of this, what Andy was pointing out is it's really costly to do the legal thing that lets you do it without permission. If they said, look, you give us the ability to do single copy, it's not going to change the users. The users are all going to do it, but we'll have more money to pay you for your channel then.
Oh,
Okay, I can see that.
That's not bad.
Because otherwise, it's just, hey, give me the deal you go and cut with all these other streamers, and also give me the DVR. But don't worry, it's worthless.
No, there has to be something that the channel provider gets. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. In a world where they're giving out more cloud DVR.
Francis wrote in and said, I could not watch Raised by Wolves season 2 till it was over and saved the Spoilerin time episodes till I completed the show. I watched it this weekend and listened to all of your analysis today, and it's just proof that binging is better. Binging Spoilerin time, not just Raised by Wolves in this case.
Both of them.
Francis says, every show you were sounding disappointed but hopeful for the next show. Then the sting would play again, and disappointment in the show would be talked about again. I rode that roller coaster from the top of the hill, reminiscing about season 1 to the depths of dismay at the season finale. Thank you for talking about the show was far better than the show itself.
It cost way less to make.
This makes my day. Like those people out there who make it a point to listen to our analysis instead of the actual thing. Bless your hearts. Please go to patreon.com/Cordkillers.
Thank you so much, Francis. That's the best email we have all day. That's going to do it for us. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. And we are live on twitch.tv/Night Attack, which is also carried on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey, Tom Merritt, what's going on?
I'm just hanging out here watching this scroll go by. What are you doing?
Trying to set up a bit where we thank our beautiful, beautiful patrons, all these wonderful
I'm sorry,
names.
I'm too distracted looking at these beautiful, beautiful patron names going by. Look at that one. I mean, if you wanted to be one of these people, patreon.com/Cordkillers would be the place to go.
I mean, they're scratching our itch, like, because we're
I think
addicted.
as long as it's consensual, like, fine.
We're addicted to their money.
And love. Might as well face it.
Well, God damn it.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.